So I cannot wait for you to experience it with us. It's an amazing journey. You had a business partner. Was she of the same faith or no?
No, which is, the beauty of our agency is, as I said, we weren't a Christian agency. We were an agency. And I love her so much. She sometimes, obviously, she knew who I was, and she was Jewish from Long Island, and sometimes she'd go to temple, the High Holy Days, and she'd come in and she'd say, "Kimmy, what does this mean?" And I'd say, "Oh my gosh, that's my favorite part of your religion." and I'd say, "This is, whatever it was that she had asked, to talk to her from Hebrew scriptures, and then say, this is what that is." And she'd be like, "Wow, like, I don't know that I ever learned that about the Jewish faith." And then she's like, "How come you know about it?" And I'm like, "Well, because that's the only lens we have as Christians, is we would not have the key to understand anything about Jesus if it were not for the Hebrew scriptures, for the Jewish faith, for the Jewish nation, for the Jewish experience." All of that comes to us in Jesus, and then that's the only way. And so we would have the best talks in our agency. Take a break and have our minute of theology or whatever it was. And the other agent that worked there was Catholic, and we would just have incredible talks that weren't just about theology. Sometimes they'd end up with us, dancing to rap music because we just needed to finish our break that way. But it was such a great open environment just to talk to each other, and that's what we need to inspire. That's what we need to be a part of, is to see the beauty in who other people are, and then not to be afraid of speaking. Like, this is my brother is where I was before I came to faith. My brother is an incredibly intelligent guy, and science fiction, lover of science fiction. And when the TV series Lost was on, he hadn't started watching it yet, and I'm like, "You should check out this TV show." I loved it. That TV show was a bridge between us, where he would say, "It seemed like there was a really important scene with Jack, and I don't get why it was so important." And I'd be like, "Dude, that was where you see God. That was like him understanding transcendence and significance and calling." And my brother would be like, "What? Like, I didn't see that." And I'm like, "That's there." And then there'd be times where I'd say, "You know what? There was like a swan that was on the," and he was like, "Oh, that's a Buddhist symbol for X, Y, and Z." And we were unveiling layers of meaning that the storytellers had just layered in. So it wasn't the point of the story, and yet without those, the story was told more deeply when you could have those conversations and share these worldviews. They inform each other. Yeah. And so those were conversations that I got to have with my brother about a TV show.
It's amazing where you can find metaphor in things and then maybe build bridges like that.
That's right.
Which, I guess in kind of looking at the composite of your life and experience. So here you are, you find yourself in this unusual place called Hollywood, and having a long-standing career in that place, and dealing with all the maybe lack of a better term, rhetoric that goes with that. And yet you have this spiritual path, that you've walked down, which has landed you here, and doing the work that you're doing. What is the legacy that you hope to achieve, through the efforts that you're making in your everyday life now?
Legacy is such a great word. Of what's the point of the work we do? What's the point of the conversations that we have? I would hope that part of my legacy has to do with, we talk about objectifying people. I think that Jesus Christ may have be more objectified than any person in the history of humanity. That he stands for things and stands for and against things. And I would hope that part of my legacy would be to humanize Jesus for others, to speak of him the way I came to know him. Here's another story, great story. There is one of our directors in the student ministries was just this great young guy. He works in entertainment as well. He actually does audio and entertainment, but works with our kids here. And he was driving home, and there was this kid, teenager, that was walking down the street, and he was wearing this T-shirt that, in a nutshell, said, F the Lord, and in so many words. And he's like, and his heart starts racing, and he's like, oh my gosh, what should I do? What should I do? And he loves kids, and he loves the Lord. And so rather than just driving by, just being insulted, he pulls his car over, and he gets out of his car. And he stands, he goes, well done. And the kid's like, who are you and why are you? He goes, you wanted to make a statement with your T-shirt. Well done. Like, you did it. Like, you have got my attention. So he goes, I'm curious, do you know him? Because I do. He's actually a friend of mine. And he goes, I wonder if you would say that if you knew him. And just as a friend of his, I hope that one day he's a friend of yours too, because he's a really cool guy. Got back in his, like, how beautiful is that we get to humanize Jesus. So I want that to be part of my legacy of this is not a concept. This is not a religion. This is not about insisting on doctrine or our ways. This is about how we honor and follow this friend who changed our lives. And I would love it if that's my legacy.
I have to tell you, that story, it moved me. And I'm not even sure why. But it's just, because as you were communicating it, it was, I had this kind of like visceral reaction that was negative. And to me, you use a term that is, you use the term transcendence. And that's probably a really good example of it, the personification of it, saying that you get to a point where rather than outrage is the response, is that there's some sort of understanding, there's a preservation of love in something that seems pretty vile and offensive, and then there's a message that is not an edict,
that's right,
but an invitation.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing that story. I so admire what you're doing and what you have done, and I really appreciate you taking time to talk to us today.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Patrick, and thanks for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it for this particular interview. Thanks for joining me. Really excited to take this ongoing journey with you as we keep bringing more content. If you haven't already, you really should subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of phenomenal content coming down the road into the future that you'll want to know about. Leave a comment down here. I think people would love to hear from you, and then you can hear from them too. If you liked it, go ahead and give a like. It only takes half a second, and share this with people that you care about. The world needs more light in it right now. So thanks for being with me. Hope to connect with you again soon.